your life's falling apart again. And you may be wondering, have I pissed off the law of attraction again? Am I just indulging negative emotions? Is my life just falling apart? Like, does the universe hate me? Or could there be some higher power involved here? If you're kind of resonating with the latter, good news, there was a reason you were brought to this video today, and likely what I'm about to tell you is going to make sense. It's going to resonate, and it's going to take some of the blame, that icky blame that you're just messing up the law of attraction, out of the equation, so you can kind of just go with the flow of life and surrender and allow it to be a much easier time. So in this video, we're going to go into 7 signs that you are experiencing a dragon trial rather than just messing up the law of attraction. But first, what is a dragon trial, you may be wondering? It is as the name implies. So if you work with the dragons, and even if you don't, they may already be working with you without your conscious awareness. If you've always sort of had an affinity for dragons, know that dragons, they love them some trials, because dragons are very ancient, wise, and powerful beings, and therefore they're very resilient. And so they like to test their charges and the people that are going to work with them to make sure that they are worthy to work with them, to make sure that there's an even exchange of energy, an equivalent exchange of energy happening. And they want to make sure that they're working with people that aren't total freaking slackers, okay? Honestly, because when you think about it, when you think of all the people in history that have really like made a mark, do they ever really have easy lives? Probably not. I would say most, if not all of them, you research them a little bit, they had very difficult upbringings and just lives, even in their adult lives, many challenges and trials they had to overcome. And that's because challenge, obstacles, they forge you into your best self. They kind of force you to continually improve rather than getting comfortable and staying stuck at a standstill, as we humans tend to do. So if you're getting a little complacent, shall we say, the dragons may quite literally light a fire under your ass, put you through a trial to get you to the next level. And this is something, it may not seem pleasant when you're experiencing it, but it's something that is really a good thing, honestly. It's for the highest good of you and your life's purpose, and for the entire collective. Because essentially what happens when you go through a dragon trial is that your vibration is being purged. So basically, like, you're reaching for a higher level. We'll use the video game analogy. You're going to another level, okay? And in order to get to that level, you've got to beat the boss. So what the boss takes the form of is any negative patterns or kind of just beliefs that you have that don't really serve you in the next level that you're going to. So these things all kind of bubble to the surface when you're ready to go to that next level, and the dragons put you through the trial, the boss fight, where you have to make a new choice and decide to release these things once and for all, so you can really anchor into that new level. And know it's for your highest good too, because they're not going to allow you to go to that next level until you've beaten the boss, right? Until you are ready for it, because that is when you would just get screwed, right? That would be truly unpleasant. So know that if you're going through a dragon trial, you have everything you need inside of you to rise to the occasion, and you are connected, protected, and loved by the dragon. So that being said, how does this differ from it being your fault? Because if you study the law of attraction, or as I like to say, the real world magic system, you may be thinking, our thoughts create our reality and our vibrational frequency creates our reality, which is true, but it's a little more nuanced than maybe the law of attraction will have you believe. You have to be really careful, because there's a lot of toxic positivity out there in the spiritual community, especially in regards to the law of attraction, where you're literally like just not allowed to feel anything negative, because you're going to create a nasty reality from that frequency. And the dragons just have to laugh at this, because that honestly, it defeats the purpose of being a human on planet Earth at this time. Like, the purpose is that we do experience this full range of emotions, that we experience a bunch of different frequencies from high to low frequencies. So it is more than okay and even encouraged, and honestly, even like, it's not even possible not to experience all the human emotions. If someone tells you that they are just like never sad, would you believe them? Like, that's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? Like, everyone gets sad sometimes. Everyone feels a bit down sometimes. It's just natural. And so the dragons want you to know that the more you are just allowing that rather than resisting against it, the quicker it's going to move through you, and then you are going to be able to feel better longer and therefore create a more ideal, stabilized reality. Now, that being said, and where we dive into the bulk of the video, is it is very possible to overindulge in these low density frequencies, in the negative emotions. And you may notice I'm doing the quotes because it's all really gray. I don't want to demonize any emotions, okay? This can be especially difficult if, like myself and like probably everyone in my audience, or at least the vast majority from what I've seen, if you struggle with, say, depression, anxiety, any sort of mental disease, if you're any sort of neurodivergence, it can be very difficult to tell whether you're just in a spiral or whether you are really just indulging, you know, because that's what you're used to, that's what your brain is used to, that's what's comfortable. So what we're about to delve into is the 7 signs of how you can know when you're in a spiral, whether you're just repeating this Groundhog's Day of unwanted emotions, or if it's a dragon trial and you're ready to go to the next level. So sign number 1, and this is actually very integral, very important to know whether this is a dragon trial specifically. It's, do the dragons pop into your consciousness a lot while you're experiencing this? Do you just feel drawn to work with the dragons? Do you just think, like, have these almost intrusive thoughts of the dragons maybe? If you're already working consciously with a dragon guide, maybe they come into prominence and they become your main guide for a while. They're a little louder than usual. If so, that is the most important sign that's going to let you know this is specifically a dragon trial. Because the other signs, they can apply to, say, deities, to God, the universe, your higher self, any other sort of guide, really, that is going to put you through the same types of trials to kind of purge your vibration and allow you to go to the next level. So number 1, if it's a dragon trial specifically, obvious, but you're going to think of the dragons a lot. They're just going to be in your consciousness. And maybe you hadn't thought of them until now, but now you're seeing this video and you're just like, oh yeah, this resonates. I'm feeling like it's a dragon trial. Trust that intuition, my friend. And if you haven't met your personal dragon guide yet and you suspect you have one, I would recommend checking the description below and also the comments. I'm going to post a link to my course, which you can enroll in the first unit entirely for free. And there is a very powerful meditation that allows you to visit the dragon realm. You get to experience being a dragon and possibly even meet your personal guide. So I would highly recommend doing that. Regardless of if you know your personal guide or not, this is just going to be really helpful if you suspect you're going through a dragon trial. So number 2, you are making different choices, or you have made different choices, and you've known that, okay? And from here on out, I'm going to go into a little case study with my own experience, because I recently went through a really intense dragon trial myself. I'm still honestly kind of in the throes of it. I feel like I'm on the tail end. And talking with many of my friends and clients right now, it seems like a lot of people are also going through a lot of upheaval as well. So I just want to demonstrate with like tangible examples from my story to let you know what this might look like. So my experience, essentially what happened is I was living in this flat that I lived in for a year, and things were kind of bubbling up. There's some drama bubbling up in the previous like 3 months or so. And eventually it all boiled to a head where I got threatened by my flatmate who had a knife, and I had to call the cops, and it was really dramatic, and I had to move out of my place like that night. And it was really intense. It brought up a lot of old patterns, a lot of PTSD. And I realized in that moment that I had the opportunity to make a different choice. It was actually something I was used to experiencing, going through really intense experiences with cops involved and stuff like that, losing my home, stuff like that. I'm used to it, honestly. That's the dragon life. But I always in the past had made the same choice, which was I'm strong. I don't tell anyone about the drama I'm experiencing in my life. I keep it together. I take care of myself. I'm independent. And in this moment, I realized that was not what I needed to do. Maybe that was what I never needed to do. I needed to be vulnerable. So I called a friend, and she was like a huge help. And then I called another friend and told her, and she like was able to help me move out. And then I even told like my audience, my mailing list, and some people were able to assist me like with finances, which I was also struggling with. And I realized in that moment, I had made a different choice. I had chosen to be vulnerable despite the shittiness of the situation, and I then received rewards. So 3, next sign going off of this, is that the drama might seem a bit like overkill. I know when I was going through this experience, I was just like talking to my guides like, what the hell? I'm a writer, and like some of the things that I've experienced, like I wouldn't have even, like I would never write that in a story because it would just be old hat. Like it would just be too much. It would be overkill. That wouldn't be compelling. And if you're suspecting that from any situation that you're experiencing in your life, you're just like, this has happened too many times and this is so ridiculous. Like I could never even fathom this. It's likely it's a dragon trial. Why? Because the dragons really want you to notice. You're not gonna notice if it's just like some minor little whisper, minor annoyance, or just this little pattern that isn't significant in any way. But if, like in my situation, it's freaking flatmate coming at me with a knife and threatening me, I'm gonna take notice. And yeah, that's how it can be with dragon trials. It's always gonna be quite loud so that you're not able to go la la la, I'm not hearing. And trust me, don't worry if you do that, because I did that too before this had happened. If you do that, the dragons will just get louder and louder until you are able to hear them. So trust that you will receive the message one way or the other if there's a message that needs to be received. So 4 is that you recognize clearly that a pattern is playing out. So in my situation, again, as mentioned, I had actually, over the past like 3 years or so, I had gotten kicked out of my home many times. I ended up homeless many times. And this was a pattern. Like I couldn't even tell you at this point how many times it's happened, like 5 times or something, like in 3 years. Know that knowing is half the battle. So when you really recognize, you're like, damn, this is a pattern. And you just know with your whole being, you're like, yeah, this is not a coincidence. In my case, like, how could that be a coincidence that I get kicked out like 5 times in like 3 years? And another sign kind of going off that, it's the same sign, but it's like, not only do you recognize the pattern, but all of a sudden you might get a light bulb moment where you're like, oh, I know where this all started. Like you can think of the root cause. So in my situation, I was like, well, one, I thought it started 3 years ago when like my mom had kicked me out because of drama with my heroin addict brother. But actually I realized I got the hit in this moment that this had gone back to when I was basically like a very small child. My like home life was just very unsafe. And while I was never really kicked out of my home, I just felt very unsafe at home, very unstable. I think maybe there was a part of little kid me that was always like, oh, am I safe here? Am I gonna get kicked out or something? That had always been something I experienced, and it just clicked. And like that, I was able to release the pattern. So 5, going off the earlier one of making different choices, you take that a step further and you start taking action based on the new choice. So if you think of like Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, that famous scene where she's just like destitute and she's like, I'm never gonna be poor again. That's what happens in a dragon trial. You're gonna have that moment where you're so low, you're just like, this is never happening again. And then you just live your life according to the new you that's never gonna let that happen again. So you start taking actions. Just as in my situation, again, I took actions. I got vulnerable with friends, with my audience. I was very, very, discerning, shall we say, when I looked for a new place to move into. And instead of just picking a place based out of trauma, because I was just like, oh, I need a place now, I can't be homeless, blah, blah, blah. I sieved through my options. I only ended up picking an option that felt genuinely good because I had taken the time to really listen to the new me that wasn't going to let myself get caught in a bad situation again. So no, the dragons really want you to know that we do create our reality through our choices. That is one of the ways. There are many ways that we create our reality, through our beliefs, through our thoughts, through our choices. But choice is quite possibly the most powerful tool we have in our arsenals in regard to creating our realities. So the dragons do ask that you use it and you exercise that muscle. You get comfortable exercising that superpower of choice. So 6, in a sick way, you actually feel kind of relieved that your life is falling apart. Have you been there? Let me know in the comments if you've been there. But I can tell you, in this moment for me, when I was homeless, I was in between homes. I was living in a trailer next to a brothel in my best friend's backyard. I felt kind of relieved because I knew that things were going to be different this time. And it was also just it forced me to slow down after I was in kind of a negative spiral, to be honest, because I was going, la, 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 the dragons are trying to get me to change my ways. I was kind of becoming a workaholic again. Not really listening to my needs, not really spending time with my friends, stuff like that. And the period after I had gotten kicked out, before I moved into my new place, it was actually kind of like a vacation in a sick way. Even though there's a lot of drama and stress and things that I had to work out, I got to spend it with friends, and I got to just be still. I didn't have to focus so much on work, and it was a great time to really check in with myself. So you may feel even though you're going through a tower moment, even though that everything just seems really messed up, that you just feel lighter. That because your life is simpler, you were just trying to juggle too many things, you were getting a little overwhelmed, and the dragons are just done. We're simplifying your life. And you're just oh, this is nice. Another thing, I've seen this happen a lot with clients, is losing their job or quitting their job or something. It's scary, right, when it happens, but afterwards, usually there's just wow, I feel free now. This is really nice. But know that if you are feeling this relief, congratulations, my friend. You have officially released control. You have surrendered to the flow of the universe and your higher self, and rewards are incoming. This is the place that you want to be creating your reality from. So finally, going off that, sign number 7 is that you just feel powerful AF. You just know, as messed up as your external reality is, you just know things are going to work out. You know something's coming. You can feel it. And you know that you can't really be hurt, if that makes sense. Of course, you can be emotionally hurt, but really that's just gunk coming up that you've held on to for ages that's coming up to be released. So that being said, do you suspect you're going through a dragon trial? And if so, how many of these signs do you resonate with? And if you do suspect you're going through a dragon trial and you need some serious assistance, you feel like you need a life preserver, hit me up, my friend. I got your back. I have a coaching program, one-on-one, as well as tarot readings that can help give you guidance in your time of need. And again, trust me, been there, done that. I've been through all of the crazy shit. I've developed many tools for how to navigate these dragon trial, tower moment kind of periods. And I would love to share those with you. You can find my services page in the description below. And finally, as always, I would love you forever, and so would the dragons, if you could like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified anytime I post, because my schedule can be a little inconsistent. Until next time, my friends, stay powerful.